with you step by step, and you can see what I do. And either, you know, you can follow along, you can make notes. If you have a book of shadows, you know, you can pop some notes in. Or if you're not ready now and you're rewatching this later, you might actually have your equipment with you and you might be ready to go. So either is absolutely awesome. So I'll show you what a witch ball looks like first of all. So this is one of mine that I made last year now, and it's been hanging up by my window. So here we are.
Oh, that's cool.
Ooh. So it's a good one. As you can see, it's a clear glass bauble, full of all manner of little goodies, which we will get right into in a minute. And it's been sealed at the top just with some sealing wax, which is important. So once you've completed your witch ball, you're going to be sealing it to mark, you know, that your spell working is complete and now it's off out into the world to manifest. So that is a complete one that I made last year. Okay. And now this, well, you have a treat. This is the new one, and this is potentially even nicer because this is a blown glass, really, really lovely ball that I picked up for this workshop. And as you can see, it's different. There's a tiny hole in it. So we're going to seal up the tiny hole at the end.
That is so fancy.
It's really fancy. Let's just appreciate that, you know. So, this is lovely, and you can use one like this, or, you know, this is great as well. And if you can't get glass, you know, it's the modern day, plastic, it's okay. Glass is best, but, you know, we're very adaptable in this.
Yeah, I think I've used one of those acrylic ones before that you can get in the craft shops.
You know, it really is. You're going to hear this probably in loads of workshops, and you've probably heard it a million times. But intention is literally the biggest part of anything, you know. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but this is ours for this evening.
Love it.
Love it. So the history of witch balls is kind of interesting, and it's one of these things that has almost reversed over time, actually, and it's sort of been reclaimed by modern witches. So as far as people know, it's a practice, it was a folk practice that originated to protect your cottage, to protect your home. So between 1600 and 1700, it was quite popular, and people would make their witch balls and they'd hang them at the window of their cottage. And it wouldn't then be witches that made them. It would be your general townsfolk who were worried about the activity of witches, the activity of other people wishing maybe negativity upon them. They were worried about bad spirits. So these witch balls were more to keep away witches and other negative things that were grouped in with witches. So they warded off evil spirits and they warded off any kind of ill intent. There was one really interesting belief that a witch might try to curse you, but she'd see her reflection in the witch ball and then she'd just curse her reflection in the witch ball instead. So guys, you know, just watch out. Need I say more? But also some of the original witch balls, they were less involved with having, you know, herbs and things in like we'll do later, and it was more to do with the patterns. There were sometimes colours in the glass, and there was almost these strands of blown glass inside. So the idea is that these negative spirits, potentially, they'd be fascinated by this ball, but then they'd get trapped in it and they wouldn't get in your house.
So it's similar to the fisherman's floats that they use, isn't it?
Yeah, and there's sort of an overlap with the idea of, again, the fisherman's floats sometimes were used by actual witches for scrying and for other work. And there's a bit of a crossover. Witch balls kept witches away, but there's also an idea that, you know, witches might use these shiny balls for, you know, some of their divining practices as well. There's a lot of sort of grey area with some of these things because a lot of it is counter magic by, you know, people who are worried about stuff as well.
I always found it funny that a lot of folk magic is to stop, you know, witchcraft, but it's actually witchcraft in itself, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think there's so many more people at that time who must have been actively doing all this spell work. They're worried about witches, and they probably were actual witches.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's fascinating actually. And it's, as I was saying earlier, so these things have been reclaimed, a lot of them now. Kind of, hopefully we've moved out of this space of fear, and things are more used to, you know, manifest positively now, which is awesome. So then we come to the 1930s, and witch balls, they change again, and they become this sort of very boutique item. And there's a bit of a confused perception that they're sort of like this Victorian paraphernalia, and they become very fashionable. But we move away from them having a spiritual element, although the most fashionable ones were still from a spiritualist, apparently. But they become decorative. So they're more about the colours and sort of glass blowing with the patterns in. And they're just seen as very hip, you know, less worried about the spirits, more worried about looking cool. And then we change again. So the modern day now, it's generally, you know, people who might identify as witches or cunning folk or with some kind of spiritual practice who would make this kind of thing. You can buy them in many sort of alternative shops. There's one in Glastonbury, certain, probably multiple. But I've definitely seen them, you know, for sale. You can buy them ready-made, which is beautiful, you know, really lovely intentions put into some of these. But it's lovely to make your own, you know, it really is nice to make your own. So we've moved from witch balls being a counter magical device from these townsfolk to keep this bad stuff away, to now they are an element of spell work. They're a magical device that we use to attract in whatever it is that we're focusing on with our witch ball that we're making. So again, it becomes blurred now a little bit. If people have heard of witch bottles, there's some amazing examples in the Witchcraft Museum in Boscastle, which I went to see. And again, originally they were counter magical. So you'd put your own urine often, you'd put like nails, you put sharp things, and the idea is the evil spirit, or again the witch, there's a lot of fear, her negativity, his negativity, whoever's negativity, would be directed to this bottle you'd made instead of you. But again, that's another thing, it's shifted now. We've kind of blurred the lines with the witch ball. We put elements in them now, but we put elements in rather than attracting negativity and getting rid of it more often now. We're using things to attract nice things like abundance, which is what we're going to work on today, positivity. We might make a witch ball. We might still make it for protection for our home. But generally we would, rather than going very aggressive and putting nails and sharp things, which is still totally valid and a practice which people do, but more often with this kind of thing that you're going to hang up by your window, it's going to be protection through lots of positivity, you know, lots of things that are really spiritually grounding, that are holding your space. So this is going to be a positive witch ball, and we're going to focus on abundance for the one that we're going to make today, which is, you know, in bulk, and this time of year, just as I felt, and it tricked me because it then rained on me, but I did feel this morning just the very slightest stirring of a tiny bit of spring, just on the air.
Normally,
really small.
It's funny you should say that, because normally by now, where I am in Devon, the snowdrops have started appearing, and they usually come quite early in January. But I was looking for them earlier and I couldn't see them anywhere. But then I found some daffodils peeking up through. So I was like, it's on its way. It is on its way.
Bulbs in my garden. I've got snowdrops and daffodils, and there's just, yeah, they're just peaking.
Yeah.
They're just peaking. So let's get crafty. Let's put some items in this lovely little empty ball. So I'm going to start with some herbs. I pre-picked out my ingredients here, so you don't see me faffing around. But there's some herbs that I'm going to put in, and these are quite everyday things that you are likely to have at home already. I haven't picked anything really hard to get, you know. So I have some lovely little flakes of almond. Here we go. And almond, it's aligned with the masculine. All of my herbs are masculine, so I've balanced that out with some more femininity later, actually. It's aligned with Mercury, the element of air. And the almond is all about money and prosperity. So for our abundance, this is great. You know, I would love an abundance of money, you know. So I'm going to pop them in. Here we go. They are inside. I also have, again, you're going to have this in your kitchen probably, some lovely cinnamon. Love a bit of cinnamon. Again, it's masculine. It's aligned with Mars and fire. And it's all about love, wealth, and protection. So I would like an abundance of love and wealth and protection. What I'm going to do, I've just got a tiny bit of tin foil so I can siphon it in. So, lovely bit of cinnamon there. Oh, it smells amazing. I'm really sorry you can't smell this.
We need to get smell-o-vision.
Yes. For the next workshops, I think somehow you should do that.
Yeah.
Okay, the cinnamon is in. And now I have, again, really, you know, it's a common herb that people have in their kitchen. Lovely bit of nutmeg. Again, nutmeg is masculine. We will have more feminine later. It's aligned with Jupiter, fire, and it's all about luck, money, health, and fidelity, you know. I'd like an abundance of all of those things. So let's pop a little bit of that in there. As you've probably noticed, so I haven't picked every single thing that just says abundance, abundance, abundance. I'm kind of working around the topic with my choices. You know, I'm making it a balanced, like a balanced set of things I want to manifest. So when you're thinking around your topic, you know, think broadly of all the things that you might associate with abundance or, you know, luck or happiness, whichever you're working on. Here we go. So my herbs are in. So next, I've got some lovely resins. So if you burn incense, do you like to burn incense? I feel you do.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think my son's asthmatic, so I try not to burn them in the house too often. I tend to do simmer pots instead.
Oh, lovely.
But yeah, I do, and I do love burning incense, especially frankincense.
I love frankincense. I'm just popping. I've got some Shadow Weaver incense on, which smells amazing actually. Just got that on while I work. But I've got some lovely resins as well that I'm going to pop in, and I do blend my own incense as well actually, so I've got a few lying around. So benzoin here. Benzoin is associated with purification, blessings and prosperity. It works really, really well for our abundance witch ball here. And in Chinese medicine, benzoin was used to clear stagnation. So if we're thinking about in bulk, we're thinking about energy rising in the earth, we're thinking about us maybe slowly getting a bit more energetic. This is a really nice one. It doesn't smell that strong when you're not burning it, but you know, the intention is there. Here we are. So again, I'm just using my little piece of tin foil to carefully siphon it in through the hole in the glass ball. And it goes. So next I have some pine resin. Now, this pine resin, I actually did collect this myself. You know, I don't collect everything myself because I have children and I have limited time.
I hear that.
So literally, please don't look down on yourself if you haven't collected everything you use personally, you know, it's all good. But this does smell really good. This lovely pine resin, I did actually collect myself out on a walk with a friend last year. These enormous pine trees, really old ones. And where you get a slight injury in the bark, they ooze this sap. It's their protection. It's like them putting a plaster on their bark so nothing gets in. But they ooze this lovely resin and it dries. And if you very gently just pull bits off, you can collect some without doing any harm to the tree at all. So I'm going to put some lovely pine resin in here. And pine, it's associated with protection, healing and nurturing. And I just thought that nurturing was so lovely for our abundance ball. The idea of nurturing ourselves and nurturing our projects going forward. So pine was sacred to the Native Americans for its healing properties, but also there's a tradition, you know, here in the UK, we've known for a long time, even before we knew about bacteria and other things, we knew that burning pine could clean the air.
Yeah, and they used to send everybody down to the coastline, especially in Bournemouth, didn't they? There's lots and lots of pine trees back in the Victorian times, and that's where you would go to recover and breathe in the air.
Absolutely, you know, we underestimate sometimes, I think, you know, how advanced many cultures have been in knowing intuitively about some of these things. So pine is really good for cleaning your energy field and in healing ceremonies. And as you say, it genuinely does have an antibacterial, you know, effect in the air. It's really amazing. So my lovely pine resin is in there. I have one more resin I'm going to put in. Here we are. This is myrrh. I love myrrh. Like I said, I love frankincense and myrrh. Yeah, it does have a smell, actually, even when it's not burning.
No, oh, from Star Child, no less.
Oh, Star Child. Star Child, for everyone listening, is this amazing. I live quite near Glastonbury. It's this amazing shop in Glastonbury for all things incense, and you know they're really ethical and their products are really high quality, really nice. So I'm going to put some myrrh in as well. So myrrh is related to your spiritual connection. It's cleansing. It's also healing. It's been revered, well, almost as long as records have existed. We knew that ancient cultures, you know, used it. Even with the story of the nativity, you know, that, you know, frankincense and myrrh is brought. It's one of those resins that probably loads of people do actually know. The ancient Egyptians also used it as part of their mummification. It clears negative energy. It's going in. And it also helps to clear illusions that stand in the way of truth. So I thought that was a really particularly lovely sentiment for our abundance, because sometimes abundance is mindset, and sometimes it's actually about clearing the way to see and be grateful for some things you already have, as well as getting new stuff. So I really liked that one. Yeah, I like that. So the myrrh is in. Okay, so this is how we're looking so far. Now, okay, so the next thing we're going to pop in, I've got some lovely yellow pieces of paper. Ta-da! Obviously, colours are really important. I have picked yellows and golds because I'm thinking about spring, I'm thinking about daffodils, I'm thinking about the sun, I'm thinking about money. These are all lovely, abundant, bright things. So when you're making your own witch balls, whatever intention it is you're working with, every single thing you put in it, you know, and it doesn't have to be something you can look up. It can be intuitive. You can research for hours, whatever makes you happy. But think carefully about every element, because every single thing is part of it. So I'm going to write some runes on my little yellow pieces of paper. I really love runes. I trained with Jay and Kestrel Oakwood in Glastonbury. They run the Bridget Healing Centre. They run the Call of the Shaman course. And I did that. I did the first and second year for over 3 years because of COVID. And one of the things we learned about was runes. Do you do any work with runes at all?
Do you know, it's something I've always wanted to explore. And when I first joined Instagram, I started chatting to somebody who gave me some of their, she sent me some hand burned runes and like a workbook to go with it. And I did play around with them for a while, and I got some really good, powerful readings from them. But for some reason, it just never really stuck in my general, it's not like a go-to for me. Like I really have to work at remembering to use them, but I do really like them.
I love runes. They scare me sometimes because the runes are brutal.
Yes,
you know?
yeah.
Not like, you know, tarot and some of the other divination methods. The runes will tell you as it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that maybe that's why I've steered away from them. I've not been in a place to deal with them and their truth speak for the last couple of years.
It's fair, you know. They've, you know, I've asked them things and they will literally slap you and be like, they really will put you in your place. But I love runes. I really connect with them. And we worked quite a lot with runes on the course, which is fantastic. Anyone, if you're interested in modern shamanism, you know, a very usable system that is relevant now. The course that Jay and Kestrel run is amazing. You know, I really, really enjoyed it. But I picked 3 runes that I'm gonna write in. And again, it's your witch ball, so you can almost put in anything you like. And runes might not feel right for you. You might want to just, you know, write in your normal language on a piece of paper, your intentions, anything that feels relevant, and pop that in. You might want to draw pictures. You might be more visual. Anything you like, you know, but it's about the right intention. So for me, putting these runes in feels really right. They're runes from the Elder Futhark, so it's the oldest form of runic alphabet, and it was a writing system used by Germanic peoples between the 2nd and 10th centuries. I have associations with Germany in my family, so again, it feels really right for me, but something else might feel right for you guys. Go with whatever feels good. But I'm going to begin with Fehu. It's a wealth rune. You know, it represents livestock. I'm going to show you what it looks like in a second. I'm just drawing it on my piece of paper. And it is all about wealth, abundance, success, security, and fertility. So for our abundance ball, it is perfect. Can you see? There we go. That is Fehu. So I'm going to roll that up and I'm going to pop it in my ball. And the next one I'm going to do, one of my absolute favourite runes, is Gebo. Gebo looks like an X or a kiss, represents a gift, and it is all about balance, exchange, partnership, and generosity. It's a rune of giving and receiving in balance. The imbalance part is just so important. There we go. And it looks like a lovely X. I'm going to pop that in my board as well. Here we go. Right, I've got one more, and it is Bacana, and it looks like a pointy bee or a pair of boots, and it represents the birch tree. It's a feminine rune. It's about femininity, fertility, healing, regeneration, and birth. So maybe the birth of new ideas, the birth of new things. It's lovely. Look at that little pointy bee, and that is going to go in the board as well. So these are the runes that I picked all around the theme of abundance that felt right for me. And it goes. Now, the other thing we are going to pop in there, this is something you guys might have done before. Tiny little bit of rope magic. Have you done any rope magic ever?
I love that. I love doing knots, and also knitting as well. Knitting magic's pretty good fun. Yeah.
I love that. So again, I've gone with the theme of yellow and gold for my abundance. So I picked some nice yellow string. And as you say, knot magic is it's ancient, really, really ancient. It's so simple. And it really is just about your intention. So as you tie a knot in your string, you're going to be thinking of something related to, in this case, the intention of your whole witch ball. So I'm going to tie a knot, and I'm really going to take a moment to ground myself. Just taking a really deep breath, and I'm just thinking in this case about plenty of food for me and all my family, and tying a knot. And I'm going to tie another knot. And in this case, I'm just thinking about our home being lovely and secure, well looked after. And I'm going to do one more, obviously because the power of three, we love threes. And for my third knot, I'm really just thinking about having abundance of time to do things that I'm really passionate about, and to do things with my children and my friends that we all enjoy. There we go. So these are 3 things that I really hope for in abundance, really important. And I'm going to take my lovely piece of string with all my lovely juicy intentions there, and I'm going to pop it in my witch ball. In it goes. So all of our things so far are now in the bottom of our ball. And the final few items we are going to add to our ball today are more abstract. So they are more about, you know, the visual energy of manifestation. So like I said, because it's about abundance, I've got some beautiful gold flakes.
Where did you get those from? Are they from?
These are literally, I think they're from Hobbycraft.
Amazing.
Real gold, because real gold is really expensive. So
I need to get some. I've never even thought about using that before. That is genius.
They are foil gilding flakes. And they're really cool. So what I'm going to do, there we are. Oh, they look amazing. I'm showing you a sec. They look really, really good in the glass ball.
I love anything like glittery and sparkly, and I think I would have a field day with that.
Absolutely. Do you know what? Like, the wonderful thing about the witch balls, okay, you know, there is not a certain aesthetic you have to follow. It can be so individual, you know, and if filling it with glitter resonates with you and your intention for the ball, go for it. Love it. You know, if you want to fill it with seashells, you know, there's not rules, you know, it's your ball, it's your spell.
Love it.
Okay, these flakes look great. Hang on, I'm going to put a few more in. Love them. So these are just foil gilding flakes. Oh, now there's really some pizzazz.
That's so pretty.
Yeah, it's looking great now. So it's gold, literally, you know, laws of attraction. It is about attracting money. I physically put gold in it. I would like an abundance of money, you know, not excessive, but. And then the final thing you can put in, these are things that specifically mean something to you. Okay, so these can be pretty much anything, little small trinkets. So I've got this lovely stone that I collected. This was a walk on the beach with my family and my friends. So I would love an abundance of small walks on the beach with my family and my friends. It's really lovely. So with that intention, I'm going to pop this little stone in there as well. Here you go. Please. Oh, it just fits.
That's a lovely thing to manifest.
Yeah, I love it.
We do spend a lot of time focusing on money, don't we? As a rule, like as you know, but abundance can mean anything, really.
Yeah, when I was thinking around it earlier, I really wanted to sort of cover all the aspects of abundance there, because there are many aspects beyond money. And there we go. This goes back to our wassail earlier. This is part of the ivy. It's the most tiny ivy leaf you've ever seen, but it's part of the ivy that I put on my hat for the wassail.
Oh,
yeah, and again, I went with my children, I went with my friends. I had such a lovely time. It was spiritual and it was fun. It was outdoors. It was amazing. So I would love to manifest some more amazing days out like that. Really good. So my little tiny wassail ivy leaf is going in. And right, I think that is, I've got one more thing there, which is the final thing, which I shall show you in a second. So these are all of my lovely ingredients I've popped in. So it looks really cool now. There it is. And the final thing I'm going to be doing is going to be sealing it up. So I won't actually do this on the while we're being recorded, because it involves hot wax and I think I might need my full concentration, but I shall show you. I've got some lovely gold sealing wax. Look at that. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to cut another little piece, I think, of that lovely yellow paper, and I'm going to pop it over that hole, and then I'm going to seal that with wax. And that is,
I wouldn't have thought to do that. I would have just kept putting wax in it until and it would have been ruined.
There'll be loads. So with my one I did last year, you can see it has a lid. So I literally just clipped the lid on and then I sealed the lid shut. So that works really well. But where I've got this world's poshest glass ball this time, it's a bit different. So I'm going to just seal that little hole, and then I'm going to cover it with the wax. But also, I mean, there is discussion sometimes if you use something for spell work and then it's done, you destroy it, you throw it away. Don't necessarily need to. Sometimes, yes, but with something like this, I would love to, maybe I have this up for a year and it's done its work. I would like to be able to unseal it. I'd like to clean it, and I'd like to be able to maybe use this again.
I think that's, I think there's a lot to be said for reusing and recycling, especially in witchcraft. You know, we talk a lot about burying the remains of spells or throwing them out when they're of no use to you anymore. But I think when it comes to containers and things like that, especially really pretty ones like this lovely bauble, like you don't really want to have to throw that away. It'd be really nice to use it again. And once it's served its purpose, it can be used again, can't it?
Definitely. I mean, something like this, you can cleanse it however you do your cleansing. You can smoke cleanse it, you can wash it, you can leave it out in the moonlight, you know, really do all of them. Many ways you could cleanse that and use again. So here we are. This is the final product. And again, what I might actually do, I might add some dangly ribbon and some other things as well. So once you get to this point, if you want to hang charms off it, if you want to put coloured ribbons, sort of whatever resonates, you know, make it look like unique, make it really yours.
I like the idea of adding things to the outside of it as well. That's nice. Like you could like maybe attach a cinnamon stick, or I don't know, like pretty ribbons and things like that. That's a really cool idea. So everybody often thinks about putting things inside it, but actually outside it's quite good as well.
So say if you were making one for like a protection and you wanted to hang maybe like a hagstone or something on the outside, would work really well.
Where would you recommend hanging them for best results?
So the traditional place to hang these is by your window. So mine, I tend to hang them, if you have like a little curtain pole, I tend to hang it on the end of my curtain pole there, because the idea is it's near a place where energy comes in and out of your house. So obviously the door is a big one of that, but it's a glass ball, so you know, safety as well. And the other main points are, you know, your windows. So it's next to the window where there's sort of, it's like a liminal place, you know, there's an exchange there. It's the place between your house and the outside. So you want to hang it near your window if you can. Obviously anything glass, watch out so it doesn't catch the light and then refract the light and set things on fire. Hence the end of the curtain pole.
Yes.
Not directly. Safety first, guys.
Yes. Many a house fire has been started with like crystal balls and things, haven't they?
Yeah, I've heard the stories, you know, never leave it uncovered. And people, oh, is it some weird? No, it will burn your house down. There we are. Any further questions?
It's so pretty. How would you get, I mean, when you take the wax off, do you have any special, I mean, is it just a case of like chipping it off, or?
Where it's glass, actually, it kind of, if you just get your nail under it, it generally, should just pop off. But if you have to, you can soak it then in warm water and just get one of those gentle scourers, and just, as soon as it's warm, it'll come off really, really easily. Very pleased with this. Yes.
What I love about witch balls is I love the history of them as well, because it's been so conflicting in the past, hasn't it, to the various different ways they've been used. But what I really like about them is that they can be used for just about anything, and they are really effective. And especially, you know, if you put the right intent into them, and you can give them a shake every now and again to like get that energy going. I really like them. I love them as a way of they're a really nice thing to do with the family as well, so you can actually get everybody involved in them. It's like a really good craft as well as being like spell work. So yeah, I love witch balls, so thank you so much for sharing that with us today.
Oh, it's been such a pleasure. I've loved making along, and maybe when people complete theirs, if they do want to share some pictures of theirs, if they feel that's appropriate.
I would love that. Yes, please do. Like tag Helen or us in any pictures that you make, or any of the witch balls that you craft. We'd love to see what the results are. I think I've got a picture of one from a while ago. Might upload that one again soon. Yeah.
It's all inspiration, isn't it? If people feel comfortable sharing, you know, it's lovely to sort of see what other people are doing. Maybe inspire you to try something yourself.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you everyone for joining us who's come along. And